Alright, all. So I really want to go over this with you via video, and maybe this will help you a little bit in terms of understanding what we were talking about in class. I know you guys were on the struggle bus on this, and I felt your pain, trust me. So I just want to start with example 2, not even example 1. I'm just going to start with example 2, and then I'm going to talk you through example 1 and do it in reverse and see if maybe that helps. Especially given the fact that they're giving you the picture of what it looks like here in terms of the original f of x, and here's the inverse of f of x. So we have the inverse in the light gray and the f of x in the black. So if you notice here that in the question stem, they're still asking us to find the slopes of the graphs of the function and its inverse, and to show that they are reciprocals of each, and then they give us 2 points to check. So we know that if our slope originally is, I guess at this point we're going to look at the point 24, the slope for the inverse is 1/4 and the original is 4. So if I were to take the derivative of the original function, which will simply give me 2x, if I throw in 2 times 2, I get the slope, and the slope is 4. If I want the inverse, I'm going to do 1 over the derivative. This will give me the 1/4. The way they explain it here is that they're basically taking the derivative of the inverse, which is the square root of x, and then they're taking its derivative to get 1 over 2 square root of 4. If we're looking at the point at where x is 4, and we plug that into the equation, that we get 1/4. And that's what I explained in the notes. But maybe if you see it or hear it, from here, it might help. More specifically, I'm going to look here at the next one. Again, our original function and its inverse are here. If I take the derivative of the original, that's going to give me 2x for the derivative. If I plug in a 3, then in that case it'll become 2x. So in my case here, for the 3, f of 3 is going to give me a slope of 6. Hence 2 times 3. At 9,3, which is the inverse point, if we plugged in the value, 1 over 2 times the square root of 9, well, that's going to give me 1 over 2 times 3, which is 1 over 6. Hence proving the point that the inverse of the function is what it is. So if I work this out on paper here again with you, let's come over here. And so I'm looking specifically at, we're starting with f of x as x squared. The inverse of f of x given to us, or we could find it because we are intelligent individuals. That will give us, in this case, square root of x. Okay, if I take the derivative of this equation, I'm going to get 2x. If I take the derivative of this equation, I'm going to get 1 over 2 square root of x. And so what they're doing is that they're plugging in the values respectively to solve. So if one of my points, like they had originally in the question, was 2, 4, and I have 4, 2 as the alternative point, then just imagine if I'm coming over here and I'm saying f of x is going to now be f of 2. If that is true, then 2 squared should give me 4, correct? Okay, now for the slope, if I take the equivalent of the slope and I plug in the 2, then my slope is going to be 2 times 2, giving me a slope equal to 4. So this is my y value for this part of the equation. I'm plugging in obviously the x part of the equation, and this part here is the slope at this particular original function. Okay, so now we go back, and again I'll focus on the book for a second just to prove my point, because I don't want you to get lost here. Now going back, we're going to take the 0.42, which is obviously the reciprocal of that. We're going to take that 42 and we're going to plop that into the original derivative and its inverse, and we're going to play and check out what that gives us as a slope. So one of the things that we knew right off the bat was that if these are reciprocals of each other, they are going to have their points are x and y and x switch position. So if I were to take 1 over 2, and in this case square root of 4, because again I'm looking now over here where x is 4, okay, I'm going to get the slope which is going to give me 1 over 4. Hence the slopes are reciprocal of the equation. That's what I was trying to explain in class. Some of you got it, some of you were still a little bit lost. For the inverse, if I were to plug in this 4, and again this time let me switch to the green. If I took this 4 right here and we inserted it here, that means that I'm going to take the square root of 4, which is 2. Hence 2. Okay, I hope this helped you understand this particular example. I'm going to do a couple more in another video, and let's see if it sticks, and we'll talk.